back for the first time, as promised. That is why, and no disrespect, that's why they called you a man of your word, because you've never heard a woman of your word. Anyway, I say that to say this. It's all about hypnosis, really. As I found out, because this is all about my near-death experience, and hypnosis is a vital factor of that. Matter of fact, if you look at your life, there's only two ways to think about it, and that is either everything is hypnosis or nothing is hypnosis, as we'll find. It was a while back, and I got a text from my friends saying, come on out to the coast, have a few laughs. We haven't seen you for a while. So I go over, we do our night, and much like Joe McClane, I die hard because I found myself inside a woman who had been throwing it at me for months, and I wanted nothing to do with it all. And it was at that moment that I realized, I thought, so this is how you hypnotize to someone to do something that they wouldn't ordinarily do. And the clue and the trick works like this, is they make you think that it's somebody else. Case in point, let's say if somebody gets deep enough inside your mind and they convinces you that your friend who you've known all your life is threatening to kill your children. So of course you exact revenge upon him because you are under the impression of different factors. So here's a question. All of this is based on memory. All of this is based on recall, previous energy. So what happens if somebody is playing with your memories? How would you know the difference? This is how it all goes down. So anyway, I've got to give it up to my friends. Maybe they thought it was a way of giving me a last hurrah as I was parading around in my Earth Day suit on the flesh and on Earth. And it didn't quite work like that, did it? Because I'm still here. And that's what's so interesting about all of this, because what's transpired in between then and now really, really is something which I'm going to share with you anyway. But it goes like this. So I'm hypnotized, I sleep with this girl, and then the next day I wake up, and as I come stepping out of door number 1, that's it. Game over. End of your chapter. Blood on the walls, all that, the whole thing. And I'm sitting there floating, wings and all, and I could actually feel the wings. That's what's paradoxical. And I'm sitting there floating, observing myself, and I'm just, the vital fluids are floating out all into the ether. And I remember sitting there thinking, this is really, really interesting, because obviously I now have the proof that I've suspected all my life that I'm not that body. I am something that pilots that body from the inside. And this is why I call it the Earth Day suit, because for all the time that you're on Earth, you can only interact with this realm via the Earth Day suit. So then you've got to wonder, how many other people are floating around who've lived and died and aren't aware that they're dead, right? I'm going to share a story with you at some point about a drunken sailor who had the most fantastic theory on ghosts based on his experience. Obviously, his experience was why he was a drunken sailor, and nobody else would believe what he saw, but he knew what he'd seen. So he drank to numb the voices, so he didn't have to speak, so he could hide his pain. That's a lot of reason why people get high. Anyway, that's by the by. So I'm sitting there, and I'm thinking, okay, game is over, now what? But then I thought, no, this isn't going to go down like this. Do you know what I mean? I'm still alive. There's still a chance. Everything is a negotiation. Let's see what we can make happen. So it was a case of me getting back inside myself. Now, what was very, very interesting about this sojourn after the theatricality and deception that I witnessed was that it felt like I'm not fully clicked in to the physical, but not fully spiritual either. Like, it was a very strange, halfway, non-dual kind of training ground, shall we say. And it offered a really amazing insight, because for the first time in my life, my mind was totally silent, totally tranquil, just like at ease, totally blissed out. And for this, I'm grateful to my friends for murdering me, because they killed a part of me that I didn't realize was a problem. A part of me that I actually used to think was me. And that's all about the elegant trickery that comes in life that we're going to get into. Because if right now you look in the mirror and you think that that's you, congratulations, you have been fooled and you're a victim of the game of souls. Flipping the script a little bit allows you to become a victor. Notice, see, victim, victor, yeah? It's not how you start, but it's how you end. That is what makes all the difference. So of course, come back in the flesh, and here I am. And I've got to say myself, I'm in a heck of a lot better shape, better frame of mind. They actually did me a huge favor with all of this. But we're going to get into the roller coaster, right? The danger on a roller coaster is only if you try and get off when it's moving, and if you just sit and enjoy the ride, everything is fine. Now, I was raised different to a lot of you, very different, right? Because warriors beget warriors, just how slaves beget slaves. We're going to get into the whole warrior, slave, and master thing later on, but just know it is very important, because it's part of the reason why your life feels as unfulfilling as it does. Because you've been enslaved. You know you're enslaved, but you just have never seen the chains. You feel them, but you've never seen them. And most people are so visual, they need to see it to feel it. But I'm going to make you see it, which is another modality thing we're going to get into, and something I picked up along the way. So all of my stuff is shutting down, and I now have to figure out a way to get back inside my body, like I told you, with the tube and the toothpaste flying out. What was interesting about all of this is there were so many things that I'd been researching for so long that were given proof. Not like that YouTube research where somebody gets something into their mind, like the moon is made of blue cheese, and then they go and look at videos with spooky music telling them, yes indeed, the moon is made of blue cheese, and then they go and find an online community which says the same thing, and they're suddenly convinced of their delusions. Not like that. The way this worked, it was like, it's like you've been pulled out so far that you can see the whole map. And not only can you see the whole map, you can see the edge. And then you can see the edge and you see that it actually rests on a table, and you're looking at a whole another scene. Like, you know when you see those looped images where it just keeps on going in and in and in and never actually gets there? It was very much like that. So we, around this body, have a series of other bodies. So when they had killed one aspect, the others were still alive, and the others were still strong, and the others are more resonantly powerful going downwards. Because if you're considering life as like condensation, so let's say you got a cloud, and then the cloud falls as rain, and the rain turns into a lake, and then the lake freezes to ice. Most of you are living in an ice state, and you remember what it was like to be a cloud. That's how it is. Everyone's born like a cloud. We're all flying and we're all free. This gave me that back again, because I literally had to give birth to myself. And it's only once you have given birth to yourself that you realize how bad the people who had the first time round actually did in getting you to where you are. And this is another thing. You've seen it yourself, and you know the truth. Many people go through life just living the same pattern again and again and again and again. And this is due to the layers and levels I was telling you, because they will feed you the same thing continually until you comprehend it. It's like, okay, now he's got it. And how do they know that you've got it if you keep doing the same thing again? If you were going to like a school or a university and you kept on getting the same test, even though you'd passed, you'd question it. You'd be like, well, hang on a second, what am I not getting? And that is exactly how this is, because you are fighting not against ignorance. Well, you are fighting against ignorance, but the thing that prevents you from realizing your own ignorance is the illusion of knowledge, is what you think you know about the world. And in reality, you don't know nothing about the world, because everything you think about the world is secondhand, has been given to you. That's why it feels used. It's not a custom fit. It's not tailored to your body mind. It's not tailored to the frame. You haven't made it. You've accepted it, right? Anyone who's wore customized clothing knows the difference. There's an absolutely immense difference between something you get off the peg made for somebody else and something you're rocking which is just for you. It flows different. It feels different. You feel different. And in turn, that creates another loop, like a butterfly effect. You know, it's interesting because this all started off, this whole entire journey actually was littered with women. And it started with women. And it started with one in particular who took rejection very badly. And that was the butterfly effect that flapped the wings and led to the tornado of a near-death experience. Looking at it now, the way I see it, everything was supposed to play out that way. It's... Imagine if I give you a microscope that's also a telescope, so at the same time you're zooming in and zooming out. Now that is currently beyond your frame of a mind to like visualize it, to actually make sense of it, but you can comprehend the motion, the spiraling that will be going on underneath. So every time that you're seeing something in that image, you'll be like, oh, it feels like it should be there. And that is one of the greatest secrets of life, because once you can comprehend that, you have so much power. And that is one of the concepts I'm going to share to you, is the techniques that I've used to get back on earth is what I call the path of power. And the path of power is a very, very narrow strip, right? Imagine the way the whole world is living is the Broadway, and it's full of lights and there's shops and there's loads of people there and it's safe and there's so much to see and do. The thing is you don't realize how much of a scam it was till you get to the end. And then you'd be sitting there wondering, well, that's why somebody put all that effort into making that. The path of power, on the other hand, is super thin, narrow, and the only light you got resides in your chest. And the only fuel for that light is the truth. Because anything that isn't the truth is inconsistency. And if you have inconsistency, you don't align, your vibrations are not correct. And I know we hear a lot about vibrations these days, and it is truly all about that. The universe is a symphony. It's a song. Do you know what I mean? I'm a beat in this, just as you are, but we don't hear the whole thing. What we hear is noise. And the reason why we hear noise is perfectly by design, because somebody who is surrounded by noise will pay for silence. And that's exactly how it works. But you won't get silence. You get muted. There is a difference, right? And we're going to get into these semantics, because like I said, it all comes down to words. And words are all hypnosis. Every single one of them. I mean, let's try something. I want you to stand up and put your arms out in front of you, and then imagine reaching down to touch your toes, right? See how far you get. Just let it all unwind, let your spine go. You'll feel it there, definitely. Let your legs go and get down to the ground, and just make a note of how far you are. Now gradually unwind and bring yourself to where you are. Now close your eyes. Just relax. Take a breath and feel into your body. Become aware of everything the way it is. And I want you to see a picture. And in that picture, you're going to see yourself doing the exact same movement, but doing it so much smoother, so much easier. And just get a little bit closer to the ground. And come back up again. And let's try it one more time, just going down, 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 visualizing and feeling how easy it is, how relaxing it is to be so flexible. And then one more time, come back up. And now let's try it with your eyes open. Let yourself melt down, go down. Let your arms relax, shoulders relax, spine unwind, hamstrings become easy, calves just loosen up. And make a note of where you are now as you feel yourself coming back up, standing up proud, strong, and erect. Do you see what I'm saying? It's either all hypnosis or hypnosis doesn't exist. Till we meet again.